Hi everyone, welcome to the house of Talk About Life. You're tuning in to Talk About Life. It's available on YouTube as a video, and it's available now 24/7 wherever you are, in the shower, in the kitchen, when you're driving, in the gym, you're exercising, you're walking, you're running with your dog, with your spouse, you're eating. You can actually tune in to Talk About Life. And today I would like to also welcome Kina from the US, and to tell a little bit about Singapore. People have heard about Crazy Rich Asians, but it's filmed here, and a good part of the actors are Singaporeans. But I don't think our lives is anywhere near there. Remember, that's the movies.
We wish it was like that.
But I would say that we do have a large part of the population do have a comfortable life. There are good jobs around, except for this very exceptional 2020. There's a lot of disruption, and we're talking about we're now into the 14th of November 2020. Hey, let's celebrate. 2020 is going to be over soon. Yeah. I have a hope that it's going to restore to normalcy in 2021. So a little bit about Singapore to welcome Kina from the US. It's a little island near to South China Sea, but it's nowhere near China. You've got to take a flight about 8 hours, 9 hours. It's nowhere near Japan or the Philippines. A lot of people ask me, are you from the Philippines? Is Singapore near to the Philippines? It's not. We've got a good community of the Filipinos. But I think that you would know, and listeners would know, your past president, Barack Obama, was raised in Indonesia. So this is like an hour or two by flight from Indonesia, and we're like 7 degrees off the equator, and just within walking distance to Malaysia. Kuala Lumpur is an hour from here, about 6 to 7 hours from Australia, and we're in the tropics. So the weather here is beautiful. In November, it's about 32 degrees Celsius. I know that you guys use Fahrenheit. It's almost like you can wear the bikini and go into the streets. And there's no earthquake here, very little flooding due to rising sea levels, because we're in an island city-state. 40 kilometers from the west to the east, and that's it. A really small island, and you've got like 7 million people packed into a little island. About 4 million of locally born and bred, and another 2 million of foreigners who are working, studying here. And it's really the headquarters of this part of Asia for businesses, because you've got the largest American banks here, the largest American hedge funds, and the largest American investors here, and the largest American huge manufacturing companies here. I mean, they're all located here. So you've got, now we're into 2020. You've got the GlaxoSmithKline, the Pfizer, the huge big conglomerates trying to churn out the vaccine. This part of Singapore is the headquarters of these big brand names of America and European big names. So we've got lots of people who's coming in and out, just floating in and out of the country, moving. So it's a country that really respects diversity. It's a diversity of any kind, whatever color, whatever language, whatever religion, whatever faith. It's something that I'm really proud of. I can be friends, and my best friends are like Muslims. I'm a Christian. My sister is Buddhist. My father, who has passed on, was Buddhist. My mom is a converted Christian. 2 years before she passed on, she gone to the Lord. she's gone to the Lord. So really diverse, but we love each other. A snippet that I hope to share with the world that I'm so proud that you can sit down at a table and you can hug each other and you can love each other amid the kind of diversity with the kind of respect and sensitivity. And I kind of like that, and I can start to appreciate that as I travel around the world. That not many countries can do that. So with that really serious topic, but this is a fun place. Chewing gum is not allowed. You're fined like $5,000 if you're caught with the chewing gum. Because because the chewing gum. I think medical chewing gums are all right, but not the chewing gums that people like chew, because
Is that serious?
because there was is that serious? Because there was a time when the gums got stuck in the train, the door, and the door couldn't shut. And it kind of like paralyzed the whole train system, and people would just scramble. Why isn't, the whole system of the subway was stopped, because they were finding out like what's happening to the train system that stopped, because there was a chewing gum that stuck. So like you were talking about, is this country serious? That this country, the laws can be serious. So if you get out of your house in 2020 without a mask, you can be charged in court, and people have been charged in court. People go to jail without, if they're found, and people are charged in court every day. In the news, people who actually flunked the social distancing laws, or the number of people that's kept to 5 in a social gathering, and if you're caught without a mask outside the house, and people are charged in court, and either thousands of dollars, or you can put behind the bars if you don't respect the law for up to 6 months. So it's as serious as it gets. Okay, so that's a little bit to our American friends out there. 50% of my listeners are Americans. Welcome to Singapore, Kina. Tell us a little bit about yourself. That's a little bit introduction, but I think kind of like put the realness into the introduction, rather than just tell them that, hey, this is a nice place, a city state. Summer all year round, you can bring your girlfriend or your wife, and tell us a bit about you, your motivation behind your podcast, some of the benefits that we can get out of it, and promote your podcast, please.
Okay. Before I do that, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be here on your podcast, sharing with you. And then also thank you for sharing with me, because I just learned a lot about Singapore, and I want to come visit when it's safe to do so. Coronavirus. So
come visit us and spend some tourism dollars.
Yes, it sounds beautiful. And I did watch Crazy Rich Asians, and I had no idea it was filmed in Singapore. So thank you for letting me know that. But also, like you, I was like, I want their life. I want the life that they have in that movie. It was awesome. But that does kind of relate to my podcast, because my podcast is called The Nerdy Red. And that's NERDY, Nerdy Red. And I do it with my husband. And it is something that we are able to bond over together and have a common interest that we share. So we might do something like watch or watch an anime or horror movie or fantasy movie. We'll pick a genre that I love one week, a genre he loves the next week, and we watch it, and we do a bunch of different nerdy things, like go to conventions. Not right now, this is a pandemic. But when there isn't a pandemic, we go to conventions. We do board game conventions, Comic-Con, and pop culture conventions. And you guys are listening to a podcast, so you can't see me right now. And I have a host of board games. And that has really served us well during this pandemic, because we're able to stay home and not be bored, because one minute we can watch the next minute we can choose a board game and just sit down, he and I together, and play that. And I'm an introvert naturally, so I'll be honest, social distancing, staying home, it has not been a hardship for me. But for my husband, it has been because he's an extrovert and he draws energy from being out and around people. So always having interests that we cultivate together to help him has also benefited him being able to get through this pandemic we're going through because it's different here where I am. And I guess I should say where I am. I'm like Vicki mentioned, I'm in the US, I'm in Florida to be exact. And I won't get into how beautiful it is because Vicki said it all. It's a great place to bring your significant other, your friend, come visit. It's warm most of the year round. Great place. But as far as the pandemic goes, it's been very difficult simply because you have a lot of the population that's politicizing it. So what I mean by that is that they're not taking it seriously because they think that it is something that is not real and that is being pushed by the government, the side of the government that they are opposed to. And so you can go out, if I decide I was going to go out and go to the store and grocery shop and what have you, I may see half the population with masks on and the other half without them. So that's what has made it difficult for me because I believe in erring on the side of caution. And if it is something that could cause harm to someone, then what is the hardship for me in putting on a mask? But you're dealing with a lot of people who don't believe that. They just don't feel it's real. And they're working off of that belief. They're working off of that assumption. So it's been a little bit difficult in that aspect. So like I said, I err on the side of caution. I stay at home, try to encourage my husband to do the same when he's not working. And it is something that having our podcast has helped with that because we've been able to still experience our nerdy interests while staying at home because you can watch TV at home. You can play board games at home.
I'm not a TV person. I used to be a news person. I used to be like a CNN person because I'm on an international time zone. Wherever I go, the CNN is on in the hotels and at home, da 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 da. But the quality of journalism has really like dived down for the last few years. Due to certain reasons, due to like the bottom line, advertising money, whatever reasons, you don't see as quality as before. So that's one of the motivations I'm doing this because I want to hear it from you. I want to hear from the people. I want to hear the real thing, not something that needs to be filtered or with a big, huge machinery in between. And today's topic is
that's what a lot of people want because a lot of you hear that whole what is the phrase fake news. Everyone wants to say that now, and I can understand it because we don't know what is the truth. Because the truth just depends on who is saying it and what agenda they have. So when you're doing something like this, and I'm just telling you what I see when I go out and about, that's just what I see. There's no agenda behind it. And I think if a lot of more people approach it the same way and start talking to each other and communicating, saying, what is it like in your country? Like what you're doing right here. What is it like?
Exactly. We don't see that news anymore. I mean, gone are those days when you have the international correspondents, sticking the mic in people's faces in the house. They go to the house, they go to the street, asking them questions. It's gone. And So back to today's topic, pandemic in your country. It brought us together, you and I. Something good has come out of this, right? The world is closer and people realize that whatever viruses is out there, I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care if you're educated or not. I don't care. It's like, I'm going to go after you. So, I mean, that's the democracy of a medical situation, I guess.
Yes.
You know, and I think that kinds of, I mean, I think history is going to look back. To me, that's why I want to do this topic. History is going to look back, not just about the medical side of it, about the pandemic side of it, but when we look back like 10 years down the line, historians, anthropologists, when they look back, social observers, they're going to see like how the world is disrupted, not just economically or socially, social distancing, but the other way that how the world has come together as one, and how the world has now kind of been decimated to be like one, I should say. You know, I think that's a big, huge realization. That's a huge disruption to the thinking about the world is divided, right? And to me, it's huge. You know, I keep pondering about this thing, and I want to document. And asking people from different parts of the world come onto my show, tell me about pandemic in your country. And I hear the same voices, whatever language, whatever accent they use, and whatever color they're from. Is like, hey, sometimes it does get me into anxiety. It does get into my family's anxiety. We've all got to stay home. We've all got to respect social distancing. We've all got to take care of ourselves, because we've got to be careful for our family. We've got to take care of ourselves because we've got to be careful of our neighbors. Da, da, da. I mean, it's the same throughout the world. I mean, this is my 14th episode of the pandemic. Yeah, I talk to people a lot. So you're going to add to this documentation of history and the documentation of the pandemic. You know, people are going to look at the statistics, right? And the statistics are all recorded, right? It's easy to get like history from statistics, the numbers, the rates of fatality, the rates of recovery, the rates of infection or the spread, you know, whichever country, you can get that in a table. But I think what's more important is that the unseen part of the world that is changing. And suddenly people realize that, hey, we're all the same, and we're all at the mercy of God. I mean, whatever God that you believe in, I mean, to me, I respect that. You know, but, you know, people start to awaken that, hey, you know, the priorities of life. When the whole world is being silent, the whole world is literally being silent. You know, the animals came out, you can see so many videos all over the world when, you know, when you sit home, the animals start coming out and they start like, okay, it's time for you guys to return to your homes. This was our place, isn't it? You know, so today I really want you to tell us a few things. What is the current situation? How did it first start in Florida? What's the first case? And tell us about certain cases whereby you knew there were positive cases, and how did the people react to that, took care of themselves, etc. And also tell us this trajectory in America, and probably in the Florida, about what you say, maskers versus non-maskers.
Okay.
Conspiracy slash politicization versus the medical and the science and the social impacts. So tell us about these issues that are playing in where you are.
Okay. I'll try to do my best, because there's so many of those issues that are playing together at one time. And I feel like, and this is just my opinion, that I agree with what you said about the priority of life. And I need to focus on humanity. And I think that's getting lost where I feel like people are not focusing on the humanity. They're so caught up on that they truly believe that this is an issue that is being overblown and that is politicized. So it started here in Florida back in April. We were one of the first states in the U.S. to go to mandatory shutdown. So where most of the other states, they were shut down by the end of March. We didn't shut down until about the first of April. And then it was also depending on per county whether people were allowed to even work from home. And that is the case in a lot of the states. So that's why it's hard to get it under control in the state, because you have 50 states and about 14 territories, and within each state they had a bunch of different counties. Like in Florida, we have about 67 counties, something like that. And each county is allowed to enact and enforce the rules how they choose. So that's why I said you can go out and you can go to the grocery store. I live in a particular county, but if I happen to be in a different county or something like that, traveling from work and I stop at a grocery store in a different county, I could very well be the only one walking around with a mask and no one will say anything.
So how's the take-up rate of I just want to focus on something that you say is so important. You're one of the few people who wear the mask when you leave your home. Tell me how many percentage of the people generally in a community mask versus non-mask?
That is, again, hard to say and feel like I'm being honest about it, because it honestly depends on where I go. So I work for the county where I live. So if I were to go, I really only go to work and home and every now and then to the grocery store, but I will not do that anymore, because when I go, people are not, I feel like not enough people are wearing their masks. So I can't really say, is it 50%? Is it half of the people? I feel like I would be disingenuous if I try to put a percent on it. But to me, if I look around and I see 5 people without a mask, to me, that's a problem, because everyone should have it on. That's my opinion.
If you go to the grocery store, right? And if in the grocery store, if you look around, out of like 10 people, how many of them you think will not be wearing a mask?
At least, I can honestly say at least 2. And it was probably more than that. Yeah. But mind you, the policy is everyone should have on a mask.
Especially when you're indoor.
Exactly. So even if it's only just 2, that's too many, in my opinion. And I'm not the type of person that I'm not going to go say to someone, oh, put on your mask, because if I'm concerned about being close to someone without having a mask on, without them having a mask on, then why would I get even closer to them to complain about them not having it on? So instead, what I do is I go the other way. Yeah. And so my solution is, if I can avoid going somewhere, then that's what I'm going to do. Now, with the county where I work in the government building, you're required to have that mask on. If you don't have it on, as someone who works there, they are going to say something to you, because that is their job. And I think that's what they're supposed to do in the grocery stores as well. But you have to remember, a lot of our grocery store employees, they're making minimum wage. So it's just really not fair to expect them to say something, even if they're supposed to. It's not, I can understand them not saying something, because you never know the response you're going to get from the person when you approach them. So you might get someone who becomes irate, becomes belligerent. You just never know. So you never know. So my response is, I just don't go anywhere. I stay home. But I understand, again, that is not everyone has the ability to do that. You have to, some people still have to go out and work. They still have to drop their kids off at school and pick their kids up from school. So a lot of things that can be done virtually is just not being done. And we
Okay.
are seeing a resurgence of cases here in Florida.
Yeah. Okay, now as I'm, because we're documenting this for history,
Yes.
on the 11th, on the 14th of November 2020, worldwide cases, 53,738,180 cases. So there's 57 million. Death, okay, 1,309,147. 1,309,147. And you've got recovered. The rest are recovered. And some of them are in critical conditions, some of them are in mild conditions. And I'm looking at the graphs. The graphs of the daily infection throughout the world is increasing at an increasing rate. It's like,
Yes. Yes.
it kind of scares us, and I'm kind of like stopped looking at the numbers for a while because I got anxiety at some time. But I think it's so important as we are like documenting this for history. Whatever goes out there, it's going to be there forever, right? So
Yes.
now, the spike is going up this way, right? And the daily death rate has gone up this way,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I don't know how it can be conspiracy when the world, when
I
every
don't
country is
either.
suffering. Yeah. Okay,
But
now,
I have a question for you, Vicki. Are
yeah.
you hearing that in your country? Are there a lot of people who feel that it's a conspiracy and that it's
No,
overblown?
no. It's not. It's never a conspiracy. It's never a problem here. It's a logic. It's a logical thing. I mean, who wants it to hit your home and your country and your economy and your jobs and your businesses?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's like, it's not even an issue. It's just something that, it's in the internet. It's something that I read, I pick up, and something in the news that I watch. Okay, and I'm going to run through the numbers for you too, right?
Okay.
America. Okay, something for us, a little bit of education and update. The last time I looked at the numbers was like months ago. 11,064,364 cases. That's a lot. Okay, but I shan't say anything more. Death, fatality, 249,975. Well, that's a superpower number.
It is a lot.
And I'm not going to put my thoughts on it because it's so sensitive. And the listeners are on both sides of the camp. I respect that, but I respect more the people who have passed off. All right.
Yes.
They, of course, I mean, I come from a country where there isn't a lot of wars. We had the Second World War, when the Japanese invaded, but that was history. And of course, there are different countries whereby there are wars, and they say these numbers are nothing. The wars, millions of people died, and like that. But I would say that whomever passed off, their lives mean something. I mean, no matter what cause it is. Every life, no matter how rich or how poor, they are of the same value.
Yes.
Every breath that you take, it's of the same value. You can't say that the rich doesn't breathe or the poor doesn't breathe. You can't say the rich doesn't die or the poor doesn't die. Right? I mean, the value is the same. The value is the same.
And if we do our part to not spread it and not potentially have someone get sick as a result of our action,
and not be an addition to the distress of another person, your neighbor. To me, that these people who like 1,300,000 people succumb to the disease, and these numbers are underreported, right? I mean, there are studies that say that it could be underreported by 3 times or 10 times by each country, because you just don't want to. I don't know. The truth is too hard from people to report the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's too hard to tell the truth. So to me, it's just a simple logic. Uh, it's just a no-brainer. And we're sharing this conversation here. It's pretty serious, but I think we respect the people who've gone home to the law. And also the word about, being kind to your neighbor, and the neighbor is just anyone. It could be the police, it could be the medical workers who ask you to stay home, like make our jobs easy, please, like just stay home and like don't ever come out, like please, it's like it's wearing me down. I mean, people who actually literally died, the nurses, the doctors, don't they mean anything?